welcome to The Social Show. My name is Viwe Cholwana, and for the next few minutes, you'll be getting the very latest CSI, CSR, and shared news value news in all of the land. Now, I don't want to keep you guessing, so I'm going to head on to the headlines. Coming up on The Social Show, Hello Paisa and Sasfin come together for the first digital bank in South Africa. Back to Rhythm campaign has South Africans cycling all over the country. Silver Star Casino CSI manager is our game changer. And we close up the episode with the Learning to Play initiative by the Sesame Workshop, set to be on your screens soon. Hello Paisa is the first digital bank of its kind in Africa. It was developed to make sure that migrant communities are able to send money back home in a safe and secure way. Let's take a look. Hello Paisa is an international money transfer service which allows you to send cash to countries across the world in a manner that is fast, affordable, safe and easy to use. With Hello Paisa, you can send cash instantly from South Africa and the United Kingdom to your loved ones back home.
Yeah, we've always been crafting solutions for communities and people that did not have access or were underserved. And from our Hello Mobile days and with Hello Paisa, the banking evolution was just the next step. We've been dealing with Sasfin for the best part of 5 years. It's been a long journey, but we're finally here, and hopefully we can put our spin on banking and try and solve this financial inclusion problem. And yeah, it's going to be hard work, but we're going to give it a try.
Hello Paisa has been helping hundreds of thousands of people send money offshore, and these are people who traditionally would be very expensive for them to send money offshore. They weren't able to do it. It was a huge cost and a huge amount of time, and they, through digital processes and through really educating those individuals and sending people out to meet them, have enabled them to do that. And they saw as the next step of their evolution is to offer all of these people banking services as well, but they didn't want to go through the rigmarole of becoming a bank. So we, using our banking license, we walked through a journey of regulatory approvals and of developing the systems and developing the product base such that we've gone live, we've got customers, we're offering banking to people who are unbanked traditionally, and we are very excited about Hello Paisa's ability to deliver banking solutions to everyday people living in South Africa who weren't able to get it before.
I mean, this is the fundamental concept behind Hello. It's that we do genuinely believe that, and we've proven it multiple times, that technology opens up opportunities to include people in services and products that are otherwise available only to the relatively affluent, right? And if we can use technology to do three things, which is lower the cost, make it easily accessible, and improve the user experience so it's available to everyone, we naturally open up an untapped market for whatever product we're selling. So the product we're talking about today is obviously a digital bank, and that is primarily delivered via mobile, primarily delivered in community, and by community we talk about people within the townships, within the informal settlements, within the metro city centers all across South Africa.
Philips, alongside the Heart and Stroke Foundation, have come together for a month-long heart health campaign titled Back to Rhythm. Social TV has more. This year, the World Health Day lens focuses on ensuring that everyone can obtain the care that they need when they need it, which is ultimately what the Back to Rhythm campaign sets out to address as it relates to heart health and preventable deaths from sudden cardiac arrest.
The first response, of course, to why we're partnering with Philips is because we want to improve and increase awareness around cardiovascular diseases, as well as the risk factors. And the risk factors, as I think most people know, but we forget when we are eating the wrong things, not being physically active, smoking too much and drinking too much of alcohol, are exactly those things. And we know that we need to therefore focus on the risk factors, and we need to be more physically active. But we also need to be able to monitor the vital functions of the body. And one of the key things with the increase in technology and the improvements in technology, especially the technologies we can use on our own as just ordinary people without going to the hospital, as well as in homes. It's very important for us to have those because it empowers people to monitor their own health And it's very important to have these new technologies to monitor our own health, so that we can both see when we're doing well and continue doing the things that are keeping us well. But it's also to help us figure out when we might be precipitating some cardiovascular accident, for example, and therefore we can seek help early, because it's always better to seek help as early as possible. So the new technologies, such as the ones from Philips and other companies, are very important, especially if they are what we call point of care instruments that can be used by the individual without any supervision. So, as we've been saying on just about any health condition, the department alone cannot fix all problems. We have to have partnerships with communities, with retail, with manufacturers of both drugs and devices. And this partnership will help us take devices into, for example, malls, because we know a lot of people, when they are well or when they don't have symptoms, don't go for checkups. So we need to make it easy for people to check their own health, and having instruments such as the one Philips is putting into malls and giving to NGOs will help us take these services outside of hospitals into places where we find people, like the malls, like where NGOs work in communities. We would like to see it, of course, in religious institutions like churches. So when people go to Sunday prayers and services, they can also test themselves for their vital signs. So that's the kind of advantage we have in the partnerships we currently have, including the one with Philips. Well, we would like everybody who wins the competition to get one, and of course to be able to donate it to their favorite institution or NGO. But really, we would like these partnerships to extend beyond this initiative. But it's a very good start, and I think it will also trigger other manufacturers to do something similar that Philips has been doing with respect to cardiovascular disease.
So we've done this in Egypt, we've done this in Kenya, and now we're doing this in South Africa. And the main goal is twofold. We want to create awareness for choices you can make in your lifestyle that actually can reduce, in this particular instance, the risk for cardiovascular disease. Eat a little bit more healthy, exercise a little bit more, not smoking. And we want to do that in a way that we also get people to actively participate. So we ask them actually to participate in a 10-minute cycle on a stationary bike, and they can cycle against a colleague, a friend. And what we do is that by the kilometers that they actually generate, we are going to donate up to 25 AEDs if they make the required kilometers. Because with a sudden cardiac arrest, it's critical that somebody can help you in the first 5 minutes. And by having the AEDs available, you increase the chances of survival. So it's about creating awareness, helping people realize that they can make choices that can improve their life, that can improve their lifestyles and reduce risk like cardiovascular disease. We want to make it a little bit of a game, active, and by joining us they can actually help with the Heart and Stroke Foundation in South Africa to generate enough miles, so kilometers, so that we donate AED. Well, let's start with the last. Philips has, as a company, the commitment to impact 3 billion people's lives by 2025. That is one of our goals. And of course, to impact people, you need to create awareness and offer services. So you can see this as part of this. This is sponsored by the Philips Foundation. And actually an AED or a sudden cardiac arrest can happen to anybody. It doesn't matter where you live, doesn't matter if you're rich or poor. Well, that's very simple. You show up. We're in strategic areas where there's a lot of traffic, and again, we invite you to come over. We want to share with you some things about healthy lifestyles. We want to tell you about CPR, and of course, we ask you then please cycle, because if there are enough kilometers, then we can donate the 25 AEDs.
Because I think the problem is that access to healthcare is always a challenge. However, having said that, I think the National Department of Health, at a public health level, has tried to put in more clinics and get a bit more resource heavy. But it's not easy. But it's way better than it was pre the democracy. The private sector in this country is not a problem. It's the public health sector that still poses a bit of a challenge. And one of the key things the United Nations is driving, along with the World Health Organization, is universal access to health care, what we're calling universal health coverage. So that is big on our agenda. So as you would have seen from the presentation, it's quite a natural fit because the Heart and Stroke Foundation has a public health agenda, right? So in other words, our beneficiaries should be underserved communities. And so we don't have the kind of financial clout to be able to carry out all our work. So the private-public partnership is critical. But having said that, because the focus is heart disease, and Philips is the innovator for the AED, it was a natural partnership. And it's not like it's one in 200,000 people. This is a burden of disease that is pretty steep. And so it's kind of a natural fit. And I think the nice thing about it is it's not just Philips corporate. So it's Philips Foundation, it's Philips corporate, and it's the Heart and Stroke Foundation South Africa. So you've got the three hearts in with one goal. And yes, there is the corporate side, which is the realistic way to look at it. But I think that we all have the right purpose.
And for our Game Changer slot this month, we look at the phenomenal Adelle Wilson. She is the CSI head of Silver Star Casino, and she'll be talking to us a little bit about the core values and the systems that make sure that this CSI department is different from the rest.
I think in terms of our CSI strategy, our building blocks will contain or consist of the things that a man's not an island. So we need to look at what's the need in our macro, micro environment, what's the need in the country, etc. So our CSI strategy's got 5 legs. Firstly, and probably the most important one, is our education. Then we do a Safe Hub, which is a soccer-based program that is launching in Kagiso shortly. And then we also look at environment, caring across communities, and then we've got what I call our big 5, where we look at the elderly, women and children, animals, disabled, and the homeless. So those are the 5 areas that we build our CSI strategy on. If I can maybe just elaborate on each one of them. In terms of our education, we've got the career development, Kalamba Leadership, Moves for Life. We've got an ECD Centre and Head Start Kids, iSchool Africa. So all of these, and we in partner with all of these NGOs or service providers who assist us to fulfill our goals with career development, for instance, is a platform that we create for the youth in terms of building their own leadership, making up their own decisions, giving them enough information to take the correct subject, to make subject choices. You know, so many of our youth today have to take or study what their parents tell them to study, and then they fail dismally because it's not their skill, it's not their talent, it's not their potential. So with the career development, we absolutely look at the youth. We've got 4 schools in Kagiso that we work with, where we basically go in and we work with the grade 9, 10, 11 and 12s. So from the grade 9s we will do a career development assessment, and then they also, each child gets a plan to tell them in terms of what are your skills, what are you more inclined to become, or what your potential is, you know. So those kind of things will help them then to make subject choices. And then we also we bring them to Silver Star, like we have a huge career day, where the job shadow day, where they then shadow our employees, so that they can see what it entails to be an accountant, or to be a storeman, or CSI manager, or whatever it takes, or tables or slots people, so that they know that these are the things that I'm going to have to study or do, or these are the accountabilities that I'm going to have, you know. So it's basically just giving a platform for these children to make better life choices, and to equip them, to skill them up, to make sure that their own potential is broken out of their shells. Yeah.
A new exciting initiative is being launched by longtime partners Lego Foundation and Sesame Workshop Projects. This initiative will help caregivers in Johannesburg and surrounding provinces learn about the educational value of play through play workshops, empowering them to engage with children in ways that contribute to a healthy development.
Sesame Street, our founding show, was started in the United States in 1969, and this year we are celebrating our 50th anniversary. And over those 50 years, more and more countries, having noticed the popularity and the impact of Sesame Street, started demanding and asking for Sesame to be brought to their own kids in their countries as well. And so during that time, Sesame Street has now expanded across the world to become the longest street in the world. We are present in more than 150 countries, either as Sesame Street itself or through local adaptations, local versions of the show. And so in 2000, South Africa also demanded for the show to come to the South African kids. And Sesame Workshop, Sesame's Takalani Sesame premiered in South Africa on SABC 1 and SABC 2. So we worked on the show in partnership with the Department of Basic Education, with the sponsorship of Sanlam, and partnering with other partners as well in South Africa. Yes, play is a very, very important vehicle for helping kids to learn. It's a very it's a way in which we can help children to learn in their early years, but also it can be used to overcome adversity, for helping children to cope with challenges in their lives. But the interesting fact is that a lot of parents and caregivers, they are not aware about the educational benefits of play. They just think plays, the traditional phrase that you hear parents saying, this is childish play, it's just a play. But actually the science shows us that there are immense benefits of play to children, which range from not just the physical that we may be more familiar with, but there are social, emotional, cognitive, intellectual benefits of people actually, children playing. It does contribute to their brain development in their very early phase. So there is that very proven scientific benefit. And so the play initiative that we are launching, it's partly a big part of the starting point is to shift the mindsets amongst the parents and caregivers for them to start to understand the educational benefits of play, and therefore to be in a place to facilitate it in a very meaningful and impactful way for their children. we started testing. We implemented a pilot in 3 provinces over the past 12 months. That pilot was in Eastern Cape, in KZN, and in Gauteng province. So for the scale-up, having looked at the results and the impact we achieved during that period, we have decided to take it to scale initially in 3 provinces of Eastern Cape, Free State and Gauteng. And that's because we're not completely leaving out KZN, but there is still more preparatory work that we want to do in KZN before we scale up the project there. And in terms of the reasons for selecting those provinces, we would love to be able to start right away in all the 9 provinces. That's still part of the vision. We hope to be able to reach out to all the 9 provinces at some point. But we selected these based on the need that is established for children in those areas, but also in terms of the critical mass of children. So between those 3 provinces, they have quite a substantial number of children, which will help us to scale up the project. So our partnership with the Lego Foundation, it's a very exciting and long-standing relationship. It actually goes back to several years ago when we implemented several other projects in South Africa, in Mexico and in Bangladesh. And that was two initiatives, one that was called Play Every Day, so it was about play as well. So that was the pilot. And then the other one was called Play Well and Be Happy. So again, it was still part of piloting and testing the play concept. And just recently, last year as well, actually, at a global level, the Lego Foundation and Sesame Workshop launched a bigger umbrella partnership. It's a $100 million partnership where the Lego Foundation is going to invest in that grant in helping Sesame and the International Rescue Committee to support children of Syrian refugees who are displaced in the Middle East. And our mission as a Sesame Workshop through Takalani Sesame is to help all kids across South Africa grow up smarter, stronger, and kinder.
And that concludes our episode for this month. I know I'm sad, but if you'd like to continue with the conversation, you can do so at www.social-tv.co.za. Otherwise, follow us on all our social mediums and everything should be there. My name is Virtualwana. Goodbye.